Prime, questions are lingering following China's massive military parade after the leaders of top U.S. foes, North Korea, Russia, and China, gathered in Beijing. And what is now the first time the three leaders, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin, have met together. So could this trio be the new axis of evil? President Bush coining that phrase back in 2002, with the original axis consisting of Iran, Iraq, and North Korea for their threats to global peace and attempts to acquire weapons of mass destruction. So fast forward to today, we still see North Korea doing the same, now led by descendant Kim Jong-un, while Russia's Vladimir Putin and China's Xi Jinping have come into the picture. President Trump clearly unhappy with the meeting in Beijing, taking to social media saying, quote, "May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." Joining us now, NewsNation national security contributor and former CIA officer and FBI special agent Tracy Walder. Tracy, it is always wonderful to see you. I wanted to start with your reaction to this parade, these three nations coming together. Should this be taken as a threat to the U.S. and other global allies as well?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Kelly. It is great to see you as well. Yes, let me tell you what I'm more concerned about. I'm actually more concerned about the weapons that were on display at this parade. I don't think it's surprising, to be completely honest with you, that China and Russia and North Korea and even Iran, I'll just throw them into the mix, are friends and are kind of conspiring to create this new world order. It's something I've talked about for a very long time. So I'm not necessarily surprised by that. However, one of the things that we have had working for us for decades, to be completely honest, is the lack of modernization of China's military. But this parade really showed me how fast they have modernized, and that's deeply concerning.
Yeah. And looking at the old axis of evil and now the potential new axis, is this a fair comparison, Tracy, to say that China and Russia have now taken Iraq and Iran's place here?
I think they've definitely taken Iraq's place. There's no question. I think Iran is sort of this outlier that I would guess is actually friendly with them simply because they rely on Iran's natural resources so much because of the sanctions that are against them and the fact that China is not a natural resource rich country. So I think Iran still plays a big role in this axis. They're just not being as vocal and as showy about it.
And we saw President Trump calling the parade a conspiracy against the U.S. We have another clip where he mentioned a little bit more about the summit. Here it is.
I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two.
So these statements, a bit contradictory. Do you believe the relationships between the U.S. and these countries is still, quote unquote, very good? And what do you anticipate happening throughout the next weeks, as the president had just mentioned?
I don't think our relationship has ever been good. I'm just going to say that and to be very honest. But obviously on the surface, for, I guess, diplomacy purposes, we act like it's good. But we have never trusted each other for decades, for half a century, if not even more. So this isn't necessarily surprising to me. What I do see, and what I think will be interesting that there's been some discussion about, is whether or not Putin will use one of these countries to help broker a deal with Ukraine, leaving Trump out of it, because he knows that that was a huge campaign issue for Trump. And so this would be Putin, in a way, I guess, playing Trump like he has been trying to do.
Right. And the big concern is it funding for the war, and how does all of that play in as well? But the overarching question is, how dangerous is this alliance of these three countries together? What might be the ramifications of it in the future?
I think it's incredibly dangerous. Obviously, they're all nuclear capable countries. We know that. And as I mentioned before, in regards to their military, I want everyone to understand that most of the capabilities they have now are because they stole it from us. They do $600 billion in damage of economic espionage to the U.S. And a lot of their weapons that they have now look very similar to ours. So they are producing weapons that we can't necessarily defend against. And that, to me, is incredibly dangerous, especially if it falls into all of their hands.
Well, fabulous insights, and it's always great to get the context. NewsNation national security contributor, former CIA officer, FBI special agent Tracy Walder. A pleasure, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.